What's going on? What's going on, my people, my people? How you guys doing today? This is Eric Grant, the Family Cash Machine. Follow the money. If you guys follow the money, you'll find a different reason or a different narrative in what they're telling you on the news. Okay, so today we're going to cover the trade, the Chinese trade, and the whole trade agreement that's going on with United States and China. They're giving Donald Trump a huge victory for this, and I disagree. And I'm going to show you why I disagree. And it's all propaganda. And, you know, people don't use common sense today. It's like we've all just listened to what we hear on the news, and the news is this huge brainwashing machine now. Of course, I want you guys to understand how this is going to affect you, because in the Family Cash Machine, we talk about generational wealth. We talk about how generational wealth can be created through timing and understanding what's going on in the world and positioning yourself for this huge disruption and this huge redistribution of wealth and that's going on right now. Well, that's happening for sure. Now, I was watching a interview today with this gentleman named Greg Swenson on Al Jazeera, and it was very troubling. And when I saw the interview, it just made me say, oh no, I gotta address this. And you know, before I get into that, I want to talk about something that a conversation I had with a good friend of mine, Kev Bo, wherever you at, man, I'll give you props. Kev, me and Kev had a conversation, and he's a very intelligent brother, and he's not a scholar. But you guys, you don't have to get jewels all the time from scholars. I mean, jewels can come from anybody. Kev dropped a jewel on me years ago, back in '95, and I've been contemplating on what Kev said back in '95. He's a guy I met, you know, in Los Angeles, and we've been friends ever since. And again, like I said, he's just the average guy from California. This, to me, is a brilliant brother. There's a lot of brilliant brothers that's in the cut, and you know, they may not have the degrees. And you know, I dropped some jewels on Kev too. We science like that, but I've met a lot of powerful people in my life that may not have credentials, but are highly intelligent. Well, anyway, Kev dropped something on me one day, and I've been thinking about this for years, and I'm going to share with you guys right now. I want that clear on myself. And what he said was, he said, Eric, common sense is as common as ingenuousness. Let me say it again. Common sense is as common as ingenuousness. And I said, what do you mean by that, Kev? He said, well, how common is it that you find a genius? I said, that's pretty rare. He said, well, that's how common it is to find people today that have mastered common sense. And if you find someone who's mastered common sense, you would think you're talking to a genius. I said, wow, that's kind of deep, Kev. And when he said it, he broke it down. I mean, he really broke it down. And for me, it was profound. But as the years grew, as I went on in years, it even became more profound to me as my experience with people in banks as a real estate appraiser and dealing with certain underwriters and review appraisers who got this in front of them, and if anything doesn't fit this description, then they don't know how to think. And there's a lot of people right now in the world like that. If they have these certain bylaws or regulations or rules or job description is telling them how to handle situations, if there's a situation, there's always a situation outside of what you're reading, they don't know what to do. And so that's back to what he was saying. Common sense is as common as ingenuousness. If you find somebody who's mastered common sense, you would think in this day and age, you're talking to a genius. Well, I live by that. And so I try to use common sense when it comes to money and economies and the things they're telling you guys. Like right now, they say that the U.S. economy is booming. Well, let's look at some common sense. When you really evaluate the U.S. Dow Jones, the Dow Jones can't be solely the indicator of how the economy is doing, because if there's 10 or 20 companies doing great in America and they show great numbers, then the Dow Jones number will go up and the American economy is doing great, and that's not true. You can't base the entire public of 390 million people on 5 or 6 corporations. So that in its whole calculation is wrong. Also, the fact that right now you have a situation where about 75% of that number that they're using for the Dow is margins. What does that mean? That means that brokers and Wall Street is lending a leash of money. They're lending and borrowing money or lending out money to these huge corporations. And they're giving them margins. So 70% of that Dow is debt. Common sense. I'm using common sense. So if 70% of the number you're telling people, oh, Dow Jones is a record high. If I take 70% of that off, because it's debt, if that debt is called back, then that number's not that number. So again, common sense is as common as ingenuousness. And most of us don't use common sense. We just go by what these people tell us. And they're lying. They're lying through their teeth. And I'm here to tell you they're lying. Am I an economist? No, I'm not an economist. But I'm a guy who uses common sense. I'm a guy who knows how to research. I'm a guy who knows how to fact find and go and do my own research based on what they're saying. It's not adding up. Not to the America that I see, not to the communities that I see. I've been in middle class communities, upper middle class communities, lower communities, and they're all catching hell and suffering in America right now. And they're not booming like the whole numbers are saying. Let's look at another number that they give you. They give you this number, 3% unemployment. Okay, you're telling me 97% of Americans are working? I don't think so. I think that number is altered. I think that number is skewed. And I had to find out how do they derive that number. Well, how they derive that number is they say, this is what they do. They say, okay, they base it on a 6-month basis of people who've been searching for jobs for 6 months. So someone who's been searching for a job for 10 months, they're not even calculated anymore. A person who's been out of work for 2 or 3 years and still searching, they're not even being calculated anymore. So I can't even trust the way you evaluate that number. It doesn't make common sense. It's out of accord with common sense, and it's all created to deceive you. And so we got to get to this truth today, because what's happening is they've been lying for so long. One day the truth is going to manifest, and it's going to devastate people, and it's going to dramatically negatively affect people. So I need to soften the blow. I need to tell people right now, it's a lie. Don't listen to that. Look at the facts. Prepare yourself, because this economy is going to crash. The dollar is going to crash. And when that happens, you want to be in position. Okay, now let me share this with you. This guy, Greg, back to Mr. Greg Swinson. And I'm going to show you guys Greg. Let me share my screen, because Greg shared his Twitter on this interview he did on Al Jazeera. So he shared his Twitter. So I'm going to put his Twitter on blast. How about that? Okay, let me look at Mr. Greg Swinson, an economist. I'm not going to say an economist, but he's like an investment banker or something. Let me see, what is this guy? And he made a comment. I got to check Greg. I got to check. Greg Swinson, a founding partner of merchant banking firm Briggs McAdams. Okay, he's been a commentator on CNN, BBC, Sky News, Al Jazeera. They talking to this guy all over, and this guy said some things that made my antennas go up. He said the tariffs, Donald Trump's tariffs, have worked, and now the tariffs are forcing the Chinese to agree and come to terms. That's so far from the truth. That's about as far as the sun is from the earth, 92 million miles, from the truth of what's really going on. Tariffs have never worked throughout the history of economies. Tariffs have never worked. They always are a negative with that. And I'm going to share that, what I mean by that. Donald Trump went up 27 or whatever percent on the Chinese. Okay. And you have these good old boy Americans, get them Trump, go right ahead, stick China, stick them in the butt. Okay, let me say this. These people don't use common sense. Because if I'm a manufacturer and you're charging me 27% to send my electronics, my computers, my cars to America, and I know your people still like to play those games. They like their phones, they like their apps, they like all the different things that, well, not apps, but they like the electronics the computers, the TVs, the stuff that we send to you guys. They're going to keep buying that. And you charge me 27%, then what am I going to do? I'm going to say, hey, okay, well, I'm going to go up 40% on my products so I can cover the tariff and still make a profit, because no manufacturer is going to sell his product at a loss. And the American people are so stupid and dumb. They're congratulating Donald Trump for going up and taxing these countries when in return that tax is just dwindling down to the consumer. Idiots. You're just so brainwashed. You're brainwashed. And so I'm telling my people, don't fall for that hype. Listen to what I'm saying. That is not a formula for success. And if you tariff and tax a country of products that we need and we're going to buy, that country is not going to keep their prices the same. They're going to increase their price to cover that tax and to still make their profit. Duh. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or an economist to figure that out. And so that's what's going on. In fact, for all I know, Donald Trump is a businessman. He could be behind the curtain shaking hands with them, because we know he still has his children in position to capitalize off of different things that he's regulating, different policies. So for all we know, he could be shaking hands with the Chinese saying, hey, I know you guys are going to go up on your products. I'm going to go up on your taxes. You're going to go up on your profit, on your prices. So cut me a little cut. We don't know what he's doing. We really don't. But I do know the tariffs only dwindles down to the consumer. Duh. So that's what's going on there. So that hasn't forced China to make the move. But what forced China to make the move? Why did China make that move? I think China made that move to release some tensions, because there's a huge amount of tensions growing between China and America. And those tensions will not going to stop. They're going to continue in the future. And that phase 2 of the deal, phase 3 and all that may never happen. But when I read the trade deal, it's really nothing in it. It's just basically these two countries acknowledging the position that they're in. China has a closed market, has always had a closed market, but China is all in our market, all in Africa, all in South America. They're everywhere, but they don't allow companies to come into their country. They do allow a few companies to come there, but you have to share with them your patents or your ideas before you set up there. And that's what I think Donald Trump got them to sign, that that's no longer have to be there. But they also agreed to $200 billion to spend here in America. Okay, I still got Greg up there. Silly Greg. We're gonna deal with this, Greg. Greg said, before I go into the trade thing, and I'm gonna get Greg silly behind off the screen, because he's trying to promote Trump. He's trying to get the rally of these white people to think that Trump is worthy of re-election. That's what he's doing. He's rallying up the troops again, because a lot of black people are not going to vote for Trump. I doubt it, but a lot of misled white people will re-vote for Trump because he's getting China, he's sticking them in the butt. But what's really happening is this. He made a comment that made my ears go up. My antennas went open. He said, I can't believe he said this. He said, well, in actuality, Donald Trump has forced China to agree because of the tariffs. And anyway, 80% of the products that Americans consume are made in America anyway. What? Have you guys looked at the clothes and the products that you use lately? If you just look, the only thing made in America is Ford and stuff like that. But mainly, almost everything that we buy is from another country. Now, this guy here is a liar. And I called him on it. And I actually tweeted him and said, hey, and I sent him some statistics. And maybe he didn't know. And how does a guy from Compton, who's not an economist, able to check you on your facts? Unless you're lying and you know you're lying. But let me share this with you. He said 80% of the products Americans consume are made in America. Okay? That is a straight up lie. He cannot be that dumb and be the guy who he is. Let me share something with you guys right now. We're going to go and I'm going to share it with you guys. And I just Googled and I looked up some statistics because I knew as a former individual who had an export company. I tried to create an export company back in 2000. It was called Shahara Exports. And I started reading a lot of information on how government America was giving a lot of grants, a lot of loans to export companies here in America who were able to get American products and export them to other countries. They were even willing to loan you money to buy these products. And then when you get the profit, you pay back the loan. They were going to pay for shipping. There were so many programs for exporters. Problem was, I couldn't find any products to really export, to make money on, because most of the American economy is based on imports. So I would have had to get involved in an import company to really make money. So all the studying that I did was wrong. All that studying that I did was for nothing. All of those government programs that I found out about were wrong, okay? Hold on one second. So, yeah, so that's what made my antennas go up, because I know that more products are imported than exported. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let's go, Mr. Greg Swinson, economist, and you're telling all these people lies, man, just lies. We need to call these people on these lies. We can't allow them to just lie to the world. He didn't just lie to the American public, he lied to the world. Okay, so let me pull this up right quick. And I already got it right here. I went and did just a little Googling. Look at this. Here is right now the year-to-date trade from the Census Bureau of the American trade. So let's just go through each one. And it's Mexico, 237 exports and 330 imports. Mexico makes up almost 15% of our trade. And then we got Canada. We got 270 products exported, but 290 products imported. Canada makes up another 14.8% of our trade. Now, I don't know if these numbers are right. I think there's been a little change to make it look like a little different, but we know based on even their numbers, there's more imports than exports, even based on their numbers. Okay, so let's go down the list. China, 97 products exported and 416 imported. Now, you tell me that 80% of our products are made in America? I don't think so. Okay, let's go down the list. Japan, we got 67 products shipped out and 132 in. We got Germany, we got 55 exported and 116 imported. There's more imported. Just go down the list. There's way more imported than exported. India, 31 exported, 53 imported. Again, I think these numbers are skewed a little, but they can't deny the fact that more products are coming in than going out. They cannot deny that fact. They have to agree to that. They know the truth. You know the truth if you're looking at the products that you're buying right now. Hold up, excuse me, one second. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm coming out with a little cold, I think. Look, just a little cold. So, yeah, so this is a lie. It's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. And I got a lot of common sense. I'm not stupid. But let me share this with you. Why are they lying? See, that's the whole thing. Why are they lying? Let me share this other thing with you that's going on right now with China. There is a $55 billion oil pipeline coming now from Russia to China. First time ever in the history of the world. Now, China is the #1 consumer of oil right now. It used to be America. Now it's China. And Russia has a tremendous amount of oil. They have oil, they have uranium, they have plutonium, they have those natural resources. So now they're going around America. And what do I mean by that? Well, America made an agreement years ago with Saudi Arabia that, hey, Saudi Arabia, you don't have any military. You found all this oil in the desert in the 90s, in the 30s. You need somebody to back you up, or somebody can just take your oil. So we gave them military backing. In return, Saudi Arabia agreed to only allow the US dollar to be received for their oil sales. So that gave the dollar some kind of value. We always talk about real value and money having something backing it to make it real money, to make it sound money. And that's what the American did. It was a smart move. They took the money off of gold, and now they back it by oil. So now you understand all these wars in the Middle East, and you understand why we have to take over Syria, Iraq, Iran, all these countries. Even though we have enough oil in America to last for 100 years in our reserves, we don't need that oil. We kind of do need that oil because it keeps the dollar valuable. And this is why I tell my people all the time, start traveling, because the American dollar is still the strongest dollar in the world, and you guys need to take advantage of that. Move around and go around the world and extract that value for yourselves, okay? And this is why America don't like black people traveling, because we'll find this global scheme out, and we'll start understanding how powerful we are globally, and then we'll start leveraging that. They don't want you to do that. But anyway, that pipeline threatens the value of the dollar, because now they're buying oil with the yuan. See, China is buying oil with the yuan. So why did China sign that? Again, like I said, pressure and tensions building up. And while China signing this and making it, and then Trump running with that and telling you guys, hey, I made a great agreement here, and this is I gotta win. China's doing something different. Okay, let me share this with you right quick. We're gonna hurry up and end this. This thing called One Belt, One Road. I want you guys to go to YouTube, pull up One Belt, One Road, and see what China's doing all over the world. They're investing in the infrastructure of several countries, including Africa, Eurasia, Kazakhstan, all throughout there. They're investing over $900 billion every year to help roads in other small countries like Pakistan, electricity, because there's a lot of small countries that have blackouts, like the country I'm in now. Dominican Republic has a lot of blackouts. Their infrastructure is not as sound as Europe and America. So they need a lot of upgrades on their energy plants. Well, guess what? Akon, he made a deal with the Chinese to come into Africa with $1 billion and to help increase the infrastructure of electricity, and I think water. And so China is making allies all over the world. China is going into all these small countries, and this One Belt, One Road, what it is a reinvention of the Silk Road. Listen to me, you guys. The Silk Road is what got a lot of silk from China up into Europe with camels and horses and stuff like that. And it really created trade with Asia and Europe and connected Eurasia, like Pakistan, all those stans. It connected them with Asia and Europe. Okay, well, now most of your products in China goes through the sea, maritime. And it takes them anywhere from 8 weeks to 14 weeks to get products to Europe. Well, now what they're doing with this One Belt, One Road, they're creating railroads to cut through Eurasia, reinventing the Silk Road, and they're going to be able to get products to Europe within 14 days. And all through Eurasia, and it's going to increase trade for China. Wow! It's going to increase the power of their dollar. And they're now disconnecting from the petrodollar so they don't need America. So while they're saying one thing, they're doing another. And I'm going to read to you guys a little bit about that right here in this infrastructure. And it talks about, okay, one second. It says that the infrastructure network of that One Belt, One Road. Bear with me right here. I found something very interesting that talked about this Silk Road and how this, here it is right here. The initiative of this Silk Road has been contrasted with two U.S.-centric trading arrangements, okay? It contrasts with the trade agreement with America, okay? It contrasts with the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. It's in opposition to that, okay? Because this One Belt, One Road doesn't have to go by that. Because remember, they're not going through the ocean, they're cutting through the land now. So they don't have to even pay attention to those transatlantic and trans-Pacific agreements because we're not going through the waters anymore. You understand? So all that means nothing. Okay, again, I'm getting down to this. We're gonna close this video out. That's one thing that I want you guys to look at. Get a chance, go look at One Belt, One Road. Several videos on YouTube going through this, okay? So now, I wanna go ahead and close this out and just say this. Donald Trump is not gonna win this, and America's not gonna win this, because China right now, they made an agreement to buy over $200 billion worth of products from America, and I don't think they're gonna uphold that at all. In fact, 32 billion of that was supposed to go to our farmers. And over the last 2 years, our farmers have been suffering because of this trade agreement, but I don't think it's quite because of the trade agreement. I think that China right now, I know that China has been buying soy from Brazil and Argentina at a cheaper price, and the product, the soil there and the weather there is more conducive to these products, and they actually got a better product. It's like buying coffee from American farmers or Colombian farmers. Which one do you think would be the best coffee? Buying tobacco from American farmers or buying it from Cuban farmers? I mean, which one do you think would be the best tobacco? It's proven that these climates have better conditions for those type of products. So the Chinese have been buying a tremendous amount of soy from these poor third world countries. Well, there's no quote unquote about it. There are poor third world countries with starving farmers who have very rich soil, okay? And they're selling the best product at the cheaper price. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to, China's going to buy a product not as good at a higher price because it costs the farmers here in America more money to produce crops than it does people over in Latin America. Also, I don't even think that American farmers can produce $30 billion worth of soy. I doubt if they can even keep up with that demand. But again, like I said, I don't think China has any objectives on keeping those that agreement. I think that they're doing things that are totally in opposition to what you're seeing, and they're moving to make China a superpower in the world. So with that, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out again. The trade agreement is a flop. You don't believe the hype. It's not a victory. Tensions are going to increase, and you need to know this because you don't want to get caught when the dollar crash. You want to be able to position yourself right now. Come to the Family Capture Street, start learning about this stuff, not just to know it, but so you can start positioning yourself to capitalize off of it when this change comes. So that's what we're doing. Grab my link right here. I'm leaving you a link to The Greatest Exchange of Wealth, the book, and also in that book, you can click thefamilycapsheet.net and take the free Phoenix class. Now, we do have some paid classes that I suggest that you take. And then once you take those paid classes, you'll be in position to actually share the revenue with the company. We have a decentralized bonus, which allows you, once you buy a class, to be able to receive revenue from the courses that we sell. Wow, it's a shared revenue. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out again, take the free class, just learn a little bit right now for free, and then from there, you may have to pay for a class so you can be a part of this huge movement we're creating that shares the revenue with those that's helping us to create the income. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. This is the Family Capture Street. Follow the money. Peace.